Hello, welcome to White Birch Tarot. This reading is for the weekend of Saturday and Sunday, November 26th and 27th. I kind of already did a weekend reading, but I decided to do another one because we have moved into a lot of Sagittarius energy right now. The Sun just entered a couple days ago, and Mercury and Venus are together moving through Sag, hand in hand. They're about midway. And tonight the moon is in Capricorn. And also Jupiter went direct a few days ago. And Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So there's a lot of nice fire energy going on. And I know that I said I was really glad to get out of the Scorpio energy, but I just can't get it off my mind. And I kind of wanted to do a reading about what it taught us. And that will vary for everyone, but just in general as a collective, what did it teach us? And I'm going to start off with a quote tonight. This is actually from a novel. Now I'm having a deja vu. I hope I didn't read this last time. I don't think I did. But it just, all of a sudden, you get that feeling that you've done this before. I know I mentioned her. Oh, well, I hope I read something else. But anyway, this is from a novel by Jodi Picoult. Her last name is spelled Picoult. And I love this quote, and I don't think I did it last time, but if I did, I'll be embarrassed, but oh well, you can't see my face, so. Anyway, she said, coal, C-O-A-L, with time and heat and pressure will always become a diamond. But if you were freezing to death, which would you consider the gem? Interesting question. I love that. So sometimes it's the things we don't value, the small things that turn out to be the most important. So anyway, I don't need to expound on her brilliant words. She said it better than I can. So I've already drawn the cards. We're going with the archetype cards tonight. And this is really strange. I have only had this deck for, I don't know, a month or two. I've only used it a few times. I didn't get a book with it. So I'm going by the seat of my pants here. And almost every time I've used them, I keep drawing the same cards, and I shuffle, and I don't understand it. And this is what the back of the card looks like, which I think is interesting because this reminds me of a faceted gem of some kind, like a diamond. So, I don't know, just, what's that got to do with anything? Just because we're talking about diamonds. Okay, so I drew 3 cards. I think I need to look at them all together. There's not room on the screen. I hope my new MacBook will be better at this, but anyway, I'll just start with, so this is, again, my question was, what were we supposed to learn, hopefully, from all the Scorpio energy that we've just been through? And I drew 3 cards. The fault line, I'll just do them one at a time. They're not really in any order, but this is where you discover the split within yourself, and you may have more than one because we're all kind of, fragmented into different roles and different parts of ourselves. But this tells us that we have a discrepancy. We have a divide somewhere that either we've put in place to protect ourselves, or we've erected because of what others have done to us to protect ourselves. Same thing, kind of, or maybe whatever. But it's this is usually not a positive thing because it's kind of you want to embrace both sides of yourself, but you don't want to separate them and make one side positive and one side negative, or have one side be totally conscious and one side totally unconscious. So this tells me that we need to look at where we might be feeling split. And it's interesting that Mars is retrograde in Gemini. Mars is staying in Gemini for I forget how many months this time, which is really unusual. That usually doesn't happen. And of course, Gemini is the twins, and, it's all about duality and choices and free will and communication. So this is telling me that there's something in us, hopefully we discovered this during Scorpio season, that it's now time to repair. And again, I'm not putting down feeling fragmented because we all do. but it might be time to try to at least bridge the gap, you know, and you don't have to call one side bad and one side good, but you might need to just think about union and acceptance. And then, interestingly, and again, I keep drawing the same three or four cards. I think I've only drawn 4 cards out of this. I mean, look how, I'll show you how, this is a large deck, right? I keep getting the same cards over and over. It's eerie. So, we get the vow, which I believe we got last time. And again, there's the diamond. And this tells me that it's time to look at what you have dedicated your time, energy, and I almost want to say not morality, but your essence. To what are you literally, not literally. Well, in a way, to what are you wedded? Like, what are you committed to? What do you want to accomplish? What's your core belief system? What are your principles? We only have a limited time on this earth, at least in this life, if you believe in multiple lives or dimensions or whatever you believe in. This one is limited. So what are you going to make a vow to? And I think that goes very nicely with this card, because this is about division and this is about union. This is the two hands coming together. So this is about bringing together perhaps what you have separated in the past. And this could be on a macro level, like with a person, you know, that you need to reconnect with or apologize to or whatever, or it could be within yourself. And then I draw the forest, and I got this last time also too. And this, interestingly, has a gem. So we seem to be on a gem theme here. And this is, again, I don't have the book with this, but this looks to me like the place you go inside yourself when you want to ask yourself, you know, what do I believe in? To what am I committed? As we got with the vow, you go into the dark woods to find yourself, to get away from others, to listen to your own voice instead of listening to others. Not that it's not good to, you know, sometimes check in with others and make sure you're not wandering off on a, you know, getting lost somewhere. But this is the necessity, I think, to go deep inside and be alone. And that's strange because we just came out of Scorpio season with all of those planets in Scorpio. And I thought we were out of the woods, like literally. I shouldn't say literally, you know what I mean. Figuratively speaking, I thought that we were, as they say, out of the woods. But this is telling me that we're not done with whatever we learned or whatever we drew up within us during the deep dark dive in Scorpio. We now get to examine and then figure out where do we want to commit to whatever we discovered in there. And if we discovered anything that split, how are we gonna integrate that? So this is an interesting reading, and I was gonna take. It's easier for me to use the oracle cards because they spell out what they mean, but I feel like going fairy tonight. We're going rogue. I love the fairies, and they're a little trickier, but okay, we draw the Lady of Sorrows, and this tells me that when we were in the Scorpio season, it may have been difficult for you, it may have been painful, and there may have been some sad memories that come up. The Lady of Sorrows is very defended. She's completely covered except for her face, and she's not willing to feel vulnerable. Okay, so let's just draw one more to see if that's a good idea to stay in, you know, to try not to feel vulnerable right now. And then we get another lady, the Lady of Leprechauns. Okay, leprechauns are pretty tricky. And also she's got fruit in her hands. Is that a pomegranate? That's the fruit of the underworld. I'm going to have to read about this one because I'm not real familiar with the Lady of Leprechauns, but I'm guessing that she might be a little tricky. But then again, leprechauns are supposed to be good luck, so it's possible that with all this Jupiter energy coming in, and Jupiter is very lucky. Sagittarians are just incredibly lucky, usually. Yeah, it says clear sight, foreknowledge, and fairy gifts. Okay, and it says, to begin to understand this lady, we must look at those whom she protects. So she's protecting the leprechauns. They are tricky beings, sometimes helpful, sometimes misleading, and tellers of tall tales. The leprechaun can be surprised, caught, and very rarely convinced to give up a pot of gold to the lucky captor. It is a rare and lucky person indeed who keeps what the leprechaun is forced to give up. If the leprechauns are tricky, their lady is even more so. I thought so. She looks tricky to me. She holds gifts of fairy in both hands, gifts of knowledge of the future and of clear sight. The crystal ball represents knowledge of the future. That's really interesting because Jupiter rules the future. If you're familiar at all with the symbol for Sagittarius, it's the satyr, who's half man, half horse, drawing his bow, getting ready to shoot the arrow up into the sky, which represents the future. So I'm not surprised. Many of us would give a great deal to know what the future holds, and yet such knowledge can be dangerous. The gift of clear sight may be a wiser choice for who does not want to see life clearly. The crystal horn is faceted. Where did I miss a crystal horn? Aha. Is that a crystal horn right there? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's coming out of the third eye of the mask she's holding. Okay, totally missed that. There is a crystal horn. That looks like my quartz crystal. You can see through only one facet at a time, each giving a different view of the same thing. What to choose? Remember that her gifts are not what they appear to be. Knowledge of the future and clear sight proffered by someone as tricky as this lady may be no more than a glittering illusion. Think carefully about what you wish for. You may be wiser to thank her and walk away empty-handed. The choice is yours. Okay, that's really interesting because last time we got the sorcerer, and if you watched the last one, it said you can ask him the question, but you better be ready for the consequences of the answer. So we get another person here who's willing to offer help, but can we trust her? And can we trust ourselves? And that's why I feel like, if there's a fault line within us, sometimes it can be really tricky to trust yourself if you have a divided, we all have divided selves within us, but you want to make sure you're not like one side against the other, coal against diamond, try to unite the two. Make a vow that you will unite all parts of yourself in your own best interest. And of course, whatever's in your own best interest is also in the best interest of others. Don't forget that. So, we got a little holy dove up above here, which I think is lovely. So that's interesting. Anyway, just wanted to check in and see what we were supposed to have gained from that tortuous Scorpio season. And it looks like we're probably not done mulling over what we learned yet. But just remember what I started with at the beginning. We may think we have to turn all of our coal into diamond, but if you're freezing to death, you might wish you had the coal. So on that paradoxical note, I will say good night. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons if you feel like it. And I will talk to you next time. Thank you for listening. Blessings. Good night.